Hi, everyone. My name is Jack Chellman, and I run a UK charity called the Global Returns Project. Now, it's spooky season, right? I think it counts, September. So this afternoon, I'd like to engage in a bit of magic together, a bit of financial planning wizardry. Using only research and data, we are going to make a massive pool of existing and potential clients appear before our very eyes. I like to call these clients your PIN clients, like a cash point PIN. And I call them that because they are the secret code to commercial success, financial planning success, both today and tomorrow. Now, this pool of potential clients and existing clients, it may be massive, but it is easy to understand. Let's start with a bit of context for your market. We all know that financial planning is increasingly competitive. Clients are splitting their business between more and more advisors. Organic growth is a challenge, and robo-advice is expected to take up about a fifth of the market by 2026. That all means that any opportunity to grow and strengthen your business just can't be ignored. So here's our agenda for today. First, I'm going to do a bit of a magic trick. I'm going to make your PIN clients appear before our very eyes. Next, I'm going to do one better than your standard street magician. I'm going to teach you some tricks of your own. If your PIN clients are your existing clients, I will teach you to satisfy and retain them. And if your PIN clients are your potential clients, I'll teach you to impress and attract them. For my final trick, I'll do what we didn't think was possible. I'll reveal that all these things that are best for your business, well, they're also best for our precious, fragile planet. So let's get started. Let's talk about your PIN clients. PIN clients, as I said, are a large group, but it's easy to understand. All you have to remember are three simple things, and they just so happen to correspond to the letters P, I, and N. Isn't it funny how that works? Your PIN clients are philanthropic, they are nature and climate conscious, and for the most part, in financial planning, they are completely invisible. Now, I want to go through each of those elements in turn. Let's start with philanthropic and invisible. The UK public is remarkably generous. This is something that most of us don't know. Compared to other European countries, far more generous, the UK public. 3/4 of us give to charity every single month. But when I talk about philanthropy, most of you probably imagine Bill Gates or some faceless society of the world's wealthiest. And I think that's a shame, because our preconceptions about philanthropy hide us from the truth, which is that many of your clients are philanthropic or charitable. I'll use those terms interchangeably today. And there's been a lot of research on this subject, as is on the screen now. 2/3 of high net worth individuals say that philanthropy is an important part of their life. 1/3 actively identify as philanthropists. And this is true even outside the bracket of high net worth clients. In the affluent bracket, for example, 1/3 plan to make a major gift to charity in the next 5 years. With all that interest in charitable giving, it shouldn't be a surprise that people want some help from their professional financial advisors. From many of you, 40% of people in the UK who are high net worth agree. In the US, there was a really interesting study. Clients rated their professional advisor as second only to their spouse or partner as the person that they wanted philanthropy advice from. That is above people in the charity sector, other family members, and even professional philanthropy advisors. And yet, this is where the invisible part comes back in. Despite all this evident demand for philanthropy advice, the actual supply from you all, from financial planners, is shockingly limited. Vast majority of clients want help with their charitable giving. This is a US study on screen now. And yet, just 6% were actually getting that philanthropy advice. Now, some of this is because these conversations never even have a chance of occurring. UK research says less than a third of advisors in this country have a question about philanthropy as a part of their initial fact-finding form for new high net worth clients. Barely a quarter of UK millionaires have ever been asked about charitable giving by their financial planner. And even though we often associate the ultra high net worth bracket as better resourced in this space, we imagine they must have the best possible philanthropy advice. The research says that's not always the case. Less than 4% of people in that ultra high net worth bracket are very satisfied with the philanthropy advice that they receive. And this next part I find absolutely fascinating. There's been a lot of research recently into the subject of unconscious bias when it comes to philanthropy discussions. The idea that advisor perceptions of clients' views on philanthropy are actually often totally at odds with clients' actual views on philanthropy. Let's take as an example the question, who typically initiates conversations about philanthropy? 39% of advisors will say that they initiate those conversations. But if you ask clients, only 6% of clients say that their advisor initiates those conversations. Something is not right here. Even when those conversations do occur, the actual content often misses the mark entirely. The conversations from the client perspective focus far too much on technical topics like tax planning, instead of what clients really want to be talking about, which is their values. So, for example, the question, are philanthropy discussions focusing too much or mostly on technical topics? A minority of advisors would say that they are, but a majority of clients say that those conversations are too technical. Part of this might be because financial planners often have a fundamental misunderstanding about why people give. If you ask advisors, why are clients interested in giving to charity? 46% of them will say this is because they want to reduce their taxes. If you ask clients that question, only 16% say it's about taxes. This is astounding to me. Why do people want to give to charity? Well, the top three reasons are passion for a cause, a desire to give back, and a desire to have an impact. Maybe not a surprise. Let's look at this from another perspective, not why people want to give, but why people might be hesitant to give. I think it's equally illuminating. If you ask most financial advisors, why might your clients be hesitant to give? The most common responses are around wealth preservation. Advisors think that their clients are hesitant to give because they don't feel they have enough resources. If you ask that question to clients, the most common responses are all about lack of knowledge. Clients aren't worried necessarily about how much wealth they have. They don't feel they're getting enough advice on the subject to give. So, we've just gone through the first element of those crucial PIN clients I mentioned. They are charitable, they want help with their charitable giving, and they are not getting it. Let's talk about the second element. Your PIN clients are nature and climate conscious, but yet again, in financial planning for the most part, they are invisible. Now, PIN clients care about protecting and regenerating our planet. And to start with, they care about this for the same reason that all of us in this room care about our planet. These statistics are for the UK alone. Over half of us are more worried about climate change this year than we were last year. 84% say the government should strengthen its climate commitments. And nearly half of us have said that climate change is already affecting the way that they're making big family decisions, where to live or work, what to buy, etc. But importantly, your PIN clients are also acutely aware of the fact that they can do good with their wealth. This is something they really care about. A survey from Good Money Week from last year shed some really good light on this, I think. Climate change and the environment came out as the top personal value that investors wanted to see reflected in their investments. And about 50% of clients said that it was important to them to get advice on sustainable investing. Yet again, we come back to invisibility, however. Just as in philanthropy, despite the evident demand for help on doing something positive for the planet with their wealth, 81% of adults want to do some good with their money. Less than a third of clients have even been made aware of environmentally sustainable products. And just as with philanthropy, this spans various wealth brackets. So this is a Campton Wealth survey that said that ultra-high net worth individuals in Europe, about 82% of them are concerned about whether their investments are greenwashed. They're worried that they don't know enough. So, are we feeling powerful? We've just made this massive pool of existing and potential clients appear before our very eyes. Clients who are philanthropic, nature and climate conscious, and yet for the vast majority of financial planners, completely invisible. But who are these PIN clients? If we look more closely, what are we actually seeing? I'd like to go through two relevant characteristics of your PIN clients that I think help us see them a little bit better. First, your PIN clients are often younger clients, either the children of your current clients or young potential clients. To start with, this gets to a little bit of context on the great wealth transfer. I think everyone in the room will be aware that we're in the middle of a big thing happening, 5.5 trillion pounds moving between generations in the UK by 2050. For many advisors, this is a great positive opportunity to retain family business, deepen existing relationships, and attract new clients. But unfortunately, not every advisor is totally prepared for this, and so the great wealth transfer can be a source of anxiety instead of a source of opportunity. Did you know that 70% of people who inherit money will immediately switch their financial advisor? Well, 63% of advisors are worried about that, and yet only a tiny fraction of advisors have any specific strategy for dealing with the transfer of family wealth. So isn't it nice that we're talking about it today? Focusing on your PIN clients is a great way to take control of this issue and turn it into an opportunity. Young people on the philanthropic side, talking about philanthropy is a great way to bridge the generational divide and start working with other members of a family if your existing clients have children or extended family. 71% of advisors find philanthropy discussions help build those relationships with the extended family. On the sustainable side, we know that younger people are often very values-led when it comes to their assets. Young people are twice as likely to select a wealth manager based on the range of sustainable investments that they offer. So this is a great opportunity, again, to build those relationships with younger clients by talking about doing something positive for the planet. Back to the philanthropy side, a large proportion of younger, wealthy clients, 57% of millionaires aged 18 to 34, want help with their charitable giving. And yet, again, many advisors are not fully prepared for this. 84% of advisors don't have a differentiated sales and marketing strategy for targeting those younger investors. So that's one relevant subcategory of your PIN clients. Let's talk about the other, which is many of your PIN clients are women. Now, again, a bit of context. Many of us will be aware that women in the UK are expected to control 60% of the wealth in this country by next year, by 2025. Despite this, yet again, like with the great wealth transfer, many advisors are not fully prepared to take advantage of this opportunity, and it can be a source of anxiety. 70% of women who become widowed switch their advisor immediately, and yet 90% of advisors don't have any differentiated sales and marketing strategy for women, just as they don't necessarily have a strategy for talking to younger people. And this is a shame, because the research says that when it comes to charitable giving and sustainability, women have well-documented and different priorities often compared to men. When it comes to philanthropy, women are much more likely to prefer regular, well-researched, longer-term charitable giving as opposed to big one-off donations. That therefore means that they are much more likely to want some professional financial advice because of that desire for well-researched charitable giving. On the sustainability side, 79% of women want their investments to be environmentally sustainable, and yet nearly 9 in 10 said that they'd never been asked about sustainable investments by their advisor. Nearly 9 in 10. This leads a lot of women to feel misunderstood by the finance industry. A third of women in this country say that they've been patronized by the financial services industry. So, we've talked about your PIN clients. We've made them appear. We understand that they're often younger, often women, and they are a real segment that can be an opportunity for you all. I think this begs 2 follow-up questions. If your PIN clients are already clients, how do you satisfy and retain them? And if your PIN clients aren't yet your clients, well, what can you do to impress and attract them? In the remaining time we have together, I'm going to try and answer those questions, and that brings us to our long-awaited Sorcerer's Apprentice moment. I'm going to try and teach you the tools of the trade to satisfy and impress those PIN clients, and it all comes down to one single, simple concept. Green philanthropy. I'm going to break this into 3 parts. What do I mean by green philanthropy? How can it be helpful for targeting those PIN clients, and how can it actually be put into practice in an easy way? So first, what is green philanthropy? Well, really simply, what I'm talking about is introducing clients to climate and nature charities. What are these organizations? Well, they're the charities on the front lines of the fights against climate change and biodiversity loss. The not-for-profits with the skills, strategies, and networks to deliver real impact at speed and scale. These are the organizations that are protecting rainforests, setting up marine protected areas, enforcing environmental law, suing polluters, and more. And frankly, all of us should be talking about these organizations all the time, because in a world of pessimism and anxiety, these organizations give us real reasons for optimism and excitement. They are faster than governments. They are faster than waiting for climate technologies to speed up and scale up. They are not hindered by the greenwash, which unfortunately continues to slow the progress of sustainable investing, as important as it is. For us, that means that climate and nature charities play a crucial role in acting at the speed and scale we need in this decisive decade for our planet. And I want to make one important point on the subject of sustainable investing. Obviously, many of us in this room are here because we care about sustainable investing. We want it to do as much good for the planet as we possibly can. We see green philanthropy as inherently complementary to the work of ESG, impact, or sustainable investing. The reality is, even the very best sustainable fund is going to have limits to what it can do. There are fundamental limits to what we can financialize, and some of the most important projects for our planet are things that it's just really hard to get a financial return from. That's what green philanthropy does best. It gets to those profitless projects, and it acts as a great complement to any market mechanisms we have on the climate and sustainability side. Yet, less than 2% of global philanthropy actually gets to climate mitigation efforts. This is not nearly enough, and these charities are critically underfunded. Another important point, we all care about lots of philanthropic causes. Green philanthropy undergirds any other charitable activity we might be engaged in. As Christiana Figueres says, if we don't address climate change in a timely manner, it doesn't really matter what we do on human rights, on education, or on health, because destruction on the planet will be so severe that everything else is going to fall by the wayside. So we've defined green philanthropy. Let's talk for a minute about why I'm proposing it is this magic tool for getting to pin clients. The fact is, offering philanthropy advice has demonstrable benefits to your business. A US study comparing firms that offered philanthropy advice to firms that didn't offer that advice found that the former group had, on average, 3 times the median organic growth, higher investment levels per customer, and 6 times the median assets. Offering philanthropy advice is good for your business. And this just makes sense, right? Talking about philanthropy gets to the things that people care about, and it is a way of building relationships and bettering your business. If you're worried that philanthropy might get to some subjects that are a little bit touchy, maybe a little bit uncomfortable, you don't need to worry. The research says talking about philanthropy much more often improves relationships with clients rather than jeopardizing it. And in the study I just cited from the US, firms that offered philanthropy advice had higher client satisfaction levels compared to firms that didn't. All right, on to the third and final part of my magic lesson this afternoon. At this point, you might be hearing all this and saying, okay, that's all well and good. I'm interested in the demands for philanthropy and sustainability advice. But this green philanthropy thing, I have no idea where I would start. I'm not a philanthropy expert, let alone a green philanthropy expert, you might say to yourself. And so there's no place to start. You don't have that expertise. Well, this afternoon, I'd like to talk about some good news. There are now organizations out there that allow you to outsource your green philanthropy offering for clients. They do the hard work of selecting and assessing climate and nature charities. They provide you with the training and resources to get green philanthropy in front of clients. And they provide the events and impact reports to keep clients happy in the long term. Again, they're doing the hard work. Now, some of those organizations will charge for services for outsourcing that green philanthropy, and that's absolutely fine. But this afternoon, I want to conclude by using one organization in particular as a case study for how this can be done, for the simple reason that they don't charge anything for their services. And that happens to be the organization, the charity I'm privileged to run, which is the Global Returns Project. Again, this is about providing a case study. I'm not interested in making a sales pitch for the very reason I'm not capable of it. We don't charge any fees to advisors or clients. Our costs as a charity are funded separately by our trustees and a number of charitable trusts, foundations, and individual donors. So I want to talk about how this can work in practice as an example. But let me be transparent about what I do want this afternoon. I'd like to keep up this conversation with as many of you as I possibly can, talking about green philanthropy and how we can make this normal in your practice and across your industry. So I would really love for every single person in this room to set up a meeting with me to talk about green philanthropy and how we might put this into practice. I'm hoping that happens organically. But if not, a little bit of an incentive. Anyone who sets up a follow-up conversation about this with me will get what we call the Advisor's Guide to Climate and Nature Philanthropy, which is a 70-page comprehensive overview of all this information and how you can put this into practice in your business. You can scan the QR code at any time to set up that meeting with me, and let's keep up the conversation. So, let's talk about the Global Returns Project quickly. As I said, we're a UK charity making it easy for financial planners to offer green philanthropy to their clients. The way we do that, we select and assess a diverse portfolio of some of the best climate and nature charities out there. Donations come to us as a charity, and we distribute 100% of those donations to the organizations that a donor wants to support without any deductions whatsoever. And then we do ongoing assessment and impact reporting. As you see on the screen, we launched in October 2020. We've seen some really exciting growth over the past few years, which tells me green philanthropy is here to stay in this industry. Last year, we doubled what we raised for our charities compared to the previous year. And we're already working with 36 financial institutions and corporates across financial planning, investment management, and more. These are some of the wonderful firms we already work with on the client-facing side. Nick from Pangea is one of them, and many others. An important point here is that the vast majority of these firms had no philanthropy offering before working with us. This is a stepping stone to building out other philanthropic options. Green philanthropy can act in that way. So, let's talk a little more about what we do. As I said, we select a portfolio of charities for our donors. One of our co-founders is a former fund manager, Jan Swiderski. He set up a firm called Finisterre Capital and then became an organic farmer. That fund management approach has stuck, and we like to say that we're trying to provide the rigor of a fund management approach in the realm of charitable giving. For us, that means diversification, rigorous research, and regular performance reporting. We say that the organizations we support are high impact because they're all scalable, they're best in class in their particular sector. But important for us is that they're also low risk from a donor perspective. We say we're looking for blue chip equivalents in the charity space. So we're looking for strong governance and, again, a diversified slate of charities. We have a team of world-class climate scientists who work with our trustees to oversee selection and assessment of this portfolio of charities. And they do that work with a proprietary methodology, which they've also helped us put together. We've looked at thousands of charities and whittled them down to the 6 that we currently recommend in our portfolio, though we're just about to add a 7th organization. Very quickly, if we're looking at a charity and we're thinking about adding it to our portfolio of recommendations, first, it needs to pass a series of governance and sizing gates. So that's that low risk point I made before. Then, if it does pass those gates, we score it by its impact, the scalability of its operations, the networks it's formed, and the co-benefits it delivers. Only the highest scoring organization gets admitted into our portfolio. And then, really important to our model is that that's not the end of the story. Every 6 months, we rescore all the organizations in our portfolio according to that original methodology. We produce detailed impact reports off the back of that reassessment. And if we find that a charity is underperforming according to our metrics, we will consider removing them and replacing them with a higher performing group. These are the 6 charities that have currently gone through our full selection process: Blue Marine Foundation, Client Earth, Global Canopy, Rainforest Trust, Trillion Trees, and Whale and Dolphin Conservation. Again, these are organizations we feel comfortable recommending as among the best in class in their sector. We've tried to make this as easy as possible for clients when they donate. So as I said, donations come to us. A standard donation gets split equally among the charities that we select, all 6. But if a donor wants to support just one charity or a few of them, they can absolutely do that. After that, we provide our impact reports, we do events all the time to introduce people to the charities and our experts. And one last thing that clients really like about this model, by donating through the Global Returns Project, they're essentially getting a little bit of extra impact. Because even though we're not taking any deductions, we're not charging any fees, everything that comes through our model essentially helps us make a stronger and stronger case to other individuals and other financial institutions to do the same. So there's an element of collective leverage. Now, a quick recap. Over our time together this afternoon, we have revealed out of thin air your PIN clients, individuals who are philanthropic, nature and climate conscious, and largely invisible in financial planning. We've talked about how retaining and attracting those individuals can be fairly simple through the use of green philanthropy. And we've used one organization as a case study, the Global Returns Project. At the start, I said that we would be doing something at the end which you didn't think was possible, revealing that all these things that are best for your business are also best for our precious, fragile planet. So let me just conclude with this. In the face of the climate crisis, it is easy to feel powerless. You're not. You and your clients have power when you give power to the best organizations. When you give, full stop. Philanthropy is the gift of power. And so if you care about these issues, please incorporate green philanthropy into the way that you do business. Please, let's keep up the conversation, and please get in touch. Thank you very much.